Hogwarts Legacy features 34 different spells and incantations from Expelliarmus and Descendo to everyone's favorite Avada Kedavra. But there are so many more amazing looking spells in the lore of Harry Potter that would be absolutely amazing if we could cast them in the game, whether it's a DLC or the sequel. Here are 10 spells that we need in Hogwarts Legacy. Reducto is a handy destruction spell which turns different objects into rubble. Depending on the power of the caster, it can have various effects from causing small breakage to bringing stone into fine mist. Reducto! Or like in case with Ginny Weasley, cause a mass destruction. While the NPCs can cast a strong version of this curse in Hogwarts Legacy, for us it could turn into an upgradable spell with up to 3 different levels, with the last one potentially becoming even more powerful than Bombarda Maxima. Aguamenti is a charm that produces a jet of clean, drinkable water. And in the Goblet of Fire video game, we had a more powerful version of this spell, Aquaracto, which produced a powerful spout of water capable of knocking opponents off their feet. If added to Hogwarts Legacy, this could ultimately become a single spell, but with different upgradable levels, which could become very useful during battles. And potentially, if such combos can be allowed, if paired with Glacius, could create all kinds of fun combinations. The Ticklin' Charm is a type of disarming spell that is used to tickle the target, making them burst into laughter, thus breaking their stance. Depending on the skill of the caster, it could have various side effects. In the game, this could work as a controlling spell that would help to disarm the enemies for a brief period. And as a secondary application, Rictusembra could be used during stealth missions to distract some enemies by making one of them burst into laughter and drawing all the attention to themselves. This freezing charm, which immobilizes and stops the actions of the targets, was performed by Hermione Granger on ranging pixies in the Defense Against the Dark Arts classroom. While Immobilis kinda has a similar effect as Arresto Momentum in Hogwarts Legacy, if brought in the sequel or DLC, this can become a more powerful version of the same spell, where instead of freezing just one opponent, we could immobilize an entire group of enemies for a brief period, giving us a quick window of opportunity. The Firestorm is a powerful charm that produces a large ring of fire around the caster, destroying everything in its path. In Hogwarts Legacy, this spell took the form of the absolutely stunning Fire Tornado that once again was only cast by the NPCs. I honestly see no reason why this wouldn't become a spell that we can cast in the future, and perhaps we will have the ability to control the movement of the tornado around us instead of just standing there in one place. Otherwise, I think this spell could also fit into the Incendio skill tree, where you start off with a regular Incendio, then as you upgrade it becomes stronger with a Ring of Fire, and then at the maximum level it becomes the Firestorm. But in this case, we will be inside the tornado, like in the Eye of the Storm, so to say, similar to how it is depicted in the Half-Blood Prince. There's also potential for Fiendfire, but I think this is more likely for the sequel than a DLC. Now, more than just having more spells to cast in the game, I'm more looking forward to a bigger variety of options and creativity that you can have with those spells, like using your environment in battle. Okay, the next spell might seem like nothing, but a Pugno is not just shits and giggles, like seen in Half-Blood Prince where Hermione casts a Pugno on conjured canaries to swarm and attack Ron, cause Voldemort cast exactly the same spell in the Ministry of Magic. But in this case, instead of birds, they were broken glass pieces that, if not for Dumbledore, would shred Harry into salsa in seconds. And this is where we can become very creative with our combat in Hogwarts Legacy and turn basically anything into a weapon or weapons, be it a broken glass, a collapsed debris of a building, frozen boulders of water, you name it. Potentially, this spell could work similar to how Carrion Sword's sorcery work in Elden Ring. I know it is a different game, but here you can conjure a bunch of blades which then attack an enemy once it gets too close. So technically wise, this spell is very doable, but in reality could add a spectacular way of dealing with enemies to already spectacular looking combat. By the way guys, this is the time when the developers are hard at work shaping the sequel and the DLC, and they always need ideas, and they often look first at your feedback. So make sure you put your wish list of the spells in the comments, as well as let me know what do you think about my list here. Episce, a healing charm, is used to heal minor injuries like broken noses and small cuts. In the game, it could perfectly work as a lesser substitute to the Wiggenweld potion. If you run out of it, you can use Episce to recover little portions of your or your companion's life bar. And it probably won't be as quick as drinking a potion, so you will have to make sure you are not interrupted while healing. Meteorologynx is an incantation of a weather-modifying charm which can come with its own feature in a DLC or a sequel and let us change the weather anytime we want. And it wouldn't necessarily be to our advantage, similar to how Thunderbrew is during battles, but become more of a convenience, just like the ability to change from day to night.
Expecto Patronum!
The Patronus charm is probably the most desired spell among the fans. Considering that there are naturally two levels of Patronus, the incorporeal and corporeal, this could work perfectly in the game. In fact, we already have the Patronus charm in Hogwarts Legacy, though only cast by an NPC during a quest that only Hufflepuffs partake in. The thing is, you only use Patronus to fend off either Dementors or Lethifolds, and that means that you need to have both of these things out in the wild for us to use the spell on. And if you haven't heard, Lethifolds are these terrifying looking magical creatures which are basically living cloths. They're normally found in tropics, but I'm sure they can be found undiscovered continental species. But unless you have actual Dementors or Lethifolds out in the wild, this spell is useless. So, if it comes in a DLC, the spell could come together with an Azkaban extension. There will be a whole new story, there will be a couple of new dungeons, and of course, we will learn Patronus charm as part of this quest. Otherwise, and I think that's more likely, the Dementors could bring their own new mechanic in the sequel that will make the spell more necessary. I think the Dementors should work just like those brutes in the recent Assassin's Creed games. If you use too many dark spells or in general kill a lot of wizards, someone will send Dementors on you. Every time they start approaching you, you will have the same warning signs, everything will start getting covered in ice, you'll start seeing your breath, your screen will get desaturated, etc. And you will have the same options just like in Assassin's Creed. Avoid their contact at all costs and just run away, or fight them if you have unlocked Expecto Patronum, which probably won't cause them to flee like immediately, but rather leave them vulnerable and open for incoming damage, similar to how Inferi can be damaged only once you've set them on fire. And the coolest part is that it is a very likely scenario that is gonna happen. At least the Patronus charm, because someone has found a list of spells inside the game's code on PC. And among them, there is Expecto Patronum and Expecto Patronum Maxima, which perfectly matches the two versions of the spell. And the list goes on. Some of these spells you can even mod to cast, and they will have their own visual effects, like the Confondo charm, which stuns the enemy and makes their eyes glow. It essentially works similar to Imperio, which makes an enemy attack other NPCs. That possibly was meant to serve as an alternative non-evil option of having to control the enemies, which wouldn't make the supposed deleted morality system make you evil, which, by the way, the same person found traces of in the same code. I talk about all the 18 spells from that code in this video. Make sure to check it out. There's a lot of interesting stuff there. And if you are looking for some behind the scenes of the development process, make sure to check out my vlog of visiting Avalanche Software in Salt Lake City. And if you're excited about the future of Hogwarts Legacy and other Harry Potter games, make sure you subscribe to my channel right now. But thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.